jam the switchboards with reports of imminent invasion from space. But as heirs to the knowledge, disciplines, and apparatus of the scientific revolution, we are familiar with, and at least partially understand, the meteoric phenomena. A meteoroid traveling in space outside our atmosphere remains unseen by man, for the molecules in space are so dispersed that collision with them causes no visible effect. If its trajectory traverses the Earth's atmosphere, it becomes a meteor. Here it begins to collide with more molecules. These collisions become more and more frequent as the meteor descends into the denser air of lower altitudes, causing it to decelerate. Each collision converts some of the energy of motion into heat energy, and the heat continues to increase until the meteor itself becomes incandescent, scribing its visible path through the night sky. Destroyed in the atmosphere by this heating, most meteors present no danger to man. Now and then, one is large enough to survive its passage through the atmosphere to Earth. It is then called a meteorite, and some are very large indeed. Dr. Peter Parameter became interested in meteors early in his career, and once wrote a paper titled,
"A thermokinetic description of bodies in passage through a plastic medium of nonlinear density at random velocities and angles, which could be just about summed up with this equation."
With this equation, his fellow scientists and designers are able to explain the effects of atmospheric penetration on differing bodies, those with different ballistic coefficients, at various velocities and angles. For example, if two bodies of different weights enter the Earth's atmosphere with the same velocity and entry angle, both the heavy body and the light one will begin to heat up at the same time. But impacts of air molecules slow the light body sooner. This deceleration of the light body occurs at higher altitudes, while the heavier, more energetic body penetrates deeper before it reaches peak deceleration. The total amount of heat generated by the lighter one is less than that generated by the heavy one, whose larger mass gives it greater kinetic energy. Two identical bodies with the same velocity entering the atmosphere at different angles also will decelerate at different rates. The steeper angle causes a more rapid encounter with the dense air, resulting in more abrupt deceleration. The total heat generated will be the same for both bodies, but peak heating will be less for the shallow entry. With identical meteors entering at the same angle but with different velocities, the faster meteor, under heavier bombardment by air molecules, will have greater deceleration, generating more heat and at a higher rate. But Dr. Parameter is no longer merely an observer interested in understanding the phenomena of meteors. A meteor is just an aimless traveler in space. Doc finds himself now involved in designs with a purpose and an aim. A missile has a target, and a spacecraft has a destination, a journey's end. To these, Doc applies his knowledge. He knows natural phenomena, both of aimless meteor and aimed missile. He knows that as they traverse the atmosphere, they heat up. If the heating or deceleration of a vehicle is excessive, the mission is threatened. Man cannot change the laws of nature, so he must use his knowledge to work within those laws. Doc Parameter knows that the two natural enemies to successful atmospheric penetration are deceleration and heat. He can fight these enemies on two possible fronts. First, on the design front, by modifying the vehicle's shape and size relative to its weight. In other words, its ballistic coefficient. And second, on the program front, by altering the vehicle's trajectory, its velocity, its attitude, and its angle of entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Parameter is now ready to use his technology to plan a successful re-entry for an ICBM warhead. He knows that of the two natural enemies, deceleration and heat, high deceleration is not a problem with a warhead, but too much heat could destroy it. He first surveys the project on the program front. He knows that the re-entry velocities and angles are essentially set by the mission. But to reduce heat load, the velocity of the re-entry vehicle could theoretically be reduced by firing a retro rocket. On investigation, he finds that in order to decrease re-entry velocities sufficiently by this method, a retro thrust system would be required weighing many times the weight of the warhead. This method is out. He next considers the possibility of changing the re-entry angle. He knows that a shallow angle will lessen the peak heat load by stretching the heating over a longer period of time. But the total heat generated will be the same either way, and the vehicle could absorb even more heat during this longer re-entry. Furthermore, a shallow re-entry angle has other serious drawbacks. First, a shallow angle impairs accuracy by deflection in the atmosphere. Second, it affords more time for enemy interception. A steep re-entry improves the missile's chances of avoiding interception and of reaching its target with minimum atmospheric deflection. In this case, altering the program is not the answer to the heat problem. Dr. Parameter must attack the problem of heat on the design front. Logic would seem to indicate that fast travel requires a streamlined shape to slice its way through the air. At subsonic velocities, this is true, but at supersonic speeds, the moving vehicle displaces air molecules which bounce off, forming a shock wave. As speed increases, the shock wave becomes more severe, and heating increases. An ICBM will have a free-fall re-entry speed in excess of 23,000 feet per second. At this speed, the heat of molecular collision and friction, shearing of air molecules, is concentrated in a narrow zone along the surface of a streamlined vehicle. The heat generated may cause the temperature to exceed 15,000 degrees Fahrenheit. To combat this terrific heat, Dr. Parameter designs instead a re-entry vehicle with a blunt frontal area. The blunt shape creates its shock wave somewhat ahead of the vehicle. This occurs because the atmospheric molecules colliding with its frontal surface bounce back and intercept others coming in, setting up a kind of picket line in advance of the warhead. The peak heat is generated in this area away from the surface of the vehicle. Although the blunt shape decreases the peak heating of the warhead to half that of the streamlined shape, it will still heat up to 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit, much too hot for unprotected warhead structures. To further reduce heating, Dr. Parameter must find other techniques in addition to the blunt shape. His first solution is the heat sink. Use the blunt design and add a mass of heat-conducting metal large enough to absorb most of the heat generated during re-entry without melting before impact. It works, but he is not yet satisfied. The weight of the heat sink displaces more than 1/4 of the payload. Furthermore, the blunt design slows the missile, keeping it in the atmosphere a longer time, making it less accurate and easier to intercept. For the greatest accuracy and shortest time in the atmosphere, Doc knows that the streamlined shape is the best, but the heat sink cannot absorb and distribute the sudden extreme heat generated during the re-entry of a streamlined vehicle. Doc reasons,
If the heat cannot be absorbed, why not eject it as fast as it's generated?
the answer is ablation.
Ablation! Coat the frontal surface of the streamlined missile with layers of ablative material composed of fibers, resins, and ceramics.
This ablative coating protects the missile from the extreme heat in several ways. It is a poor heat conductor. Its surface gradually melts away, taking heat with it, and its vapor forms a thin insulating layer, deflecting some of the heat from the surface. The ablative principle combats the heat problem effectively and permits steeper re-entry angles while adding a minimum of weight. The streamlined missile, with its increased speed, affords the least possibility of interception and the greatest accuracy. It does produce a huge deceleration factor approaching 150 Gs. Fortunately, this poses no threat to a warhead. But for manned or other recovery missions, the G-load is a most important factor. For manned re-entry, this force should be held below 10 Gs. A shallow re-entry angle of about 1 to 5 degrees is the simple answer. The shallower the angle, the less the G-load. But this will be sustained over a longer period of time. This means a longer time at high speed through the friction of the atmosphere. Let's take a moment to see why this is not desirable. Dr. Parameter?
Thank you. Gentlemen, we have here a kettle of water. Heathcliff, we can use you in this experiment.
Oh boy, an experiment.
Thank you, sir. Now, if we may have another kettle of water and your stand-in. Thank you. Now we'll proceed with the experiment.
Experiment?
We'll add the same amount of fuel under each kettle, but alter the form of the fuel under one kettle to make it burn faster. We ignite both at the same time and compare the results. Splendid. I'd like to point out that the fast-burning fuel, although reaching its intensity quickly, exhausted itself quickly. The heat absorbed was negligible. The slow-burning fuel, on the other hand, gradually increases in intensity. It will generate the same total heat load, but over a longer period of time, and you'll notice more heat is absorbed. Thank you, Heathcliff.
Thank you, Dr. Parameter. So although the peak heat generated in the shallow re-entry is less, the capsule is in the heating regime for a longer time, and without the utmost protection would absorb an intolerable amount of heat. For manned re-entry, Dr. Parameter overcomes the deceleration enemy through program with the shallow angle, but he must combat heat on the design front. A blunt shape to cause a detached shock wave, a picket line against heat, and ablative materials for additional heat control. The doc is confident his new design will fulfill the requirements. Now to try it out. He wants low peak deceleration, so the shallow re-entry path is mandatory. This brings him down safely, if a little off target. To achieve some control and accuracy as well as safety, Dr. Parameter has been working on other design concepts, particularly shapes that produce lift. He knows that a ballistic missile is designed and programmed to hit a particular point on the Earth's surface. A manned ballistic vehicle with the same objective is much less accurate due to its design and long, shallow penetration. But a lifting vehicle, which is capable of descending at a still more shallow angle and with an extremely low deceleration rate, is able to change direction. This control gives it wide selectivity of landing sites within a large footprint area. For the shortest range within the footprint, the vehicle is pulled up into a maximum lift attitude at re-entry. This induces maximum drag, causing a steeper, more abrupt descent. For the longest possible range, the vehicle must assume the attitude of maximum lift-over-drag ratio. This footprint, huge at first, shrinks gradually as the vehicle descends. Dr. Parameter, while considering the advantages of lifting vehicles, is also aware of their drawbacks. First, the lifting structure itself imposes weight penalties, which compete with the all-important matter of payload. Then, lifting vehicles may also spend up to 20 minutes in the heat regime, and being more streamlined, they require a still more complex heat protection system, competing still further with payload. Dr. Parameter, with his associates, has studied the strategy of atmospheric penetration. He knows its natural enemies, deceleration and heat, and has met them on the two fronts of program and design. He has accomplished important objectives. For the intercontinental ballistic missile, the objectives are rapid atmospheric penetration and accuracy. The warhead's natural enemy is sudden, intense heat. Its program? High velocity, steep re-entry. Its design, streamlined with ablation to combat sudden heat. For a manned or other recovery mission, the objectives are, first of all, safety, and then control. The mission's natural enemies: high deceleration, sustained heat. Its program: shallow re-entry for low deceleration. The vehicle's design: blunt, yet with control capabilities, a maneuverable lifting shape. The resulting long duration within the heat regime exacts a weight penalty because a complex heat protection system is needed. There will always be problems to solve. Dr. Parameter has worked out successful compromises so far, but he is still puzzling, still exploring. He plots his graphs, his curves, and flings them boldly into space. But he knows that we have barely gotten our little toe into space, and he constantly seeks to improve that toehold. He must hold to the possible, yet he constantly works along its impossible edges. He has opened the way for man's safe re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Journey's end for space travel. There was a time when a meteor flashing through the sky struck man with a deep sense of wonder. Even today, man's reaction to a meteoric display is likely to jam the switchboards with reports of imminent invasion from space. But as heirs to the knowledge, disciplines, and apparatus of the scientific revolution, we are familiar with, and at least partially understand, the meteoric phenomena. A meteoroid traveling in space outside our atmosphere remains unseen by man, for the molecules in space are so dispersed that collision with them causes no visible effect. If its trajectory traverses the Earth's atmosphere, it becomes a meteor. Here it begins to collide with more molecules. These collisions become more and more frequent as the meteor descends into the denser air of lower altitudes, causing it to decelerate. Each collision converts some of the energy of motion into heat energy, and the heat continues to increase until the meteor itself becomes incandescent,
Dang it.
describing its visible path
I tried
through
to
the night sky.
make it back before
By this heating, most meteor
I tried to make it back before one replay. Ugh. Oh. Okay. Here, let me just missed it by that much. Yeah, dude, I was gone for about 20 minutes. Yeah, that was about right. Okay. Just before penetration, you mean? Yeah. Yeah. You roost blocker. I was about to learn.
present no danger to man. Now and then, one is large enough to survive its passage through the atmosphere to Earth. It is then called a meteorite, and some are very large indeed. Dr. Peter Parameter became interested in meteors early in his career and once wrote a paper titled
A thermokinetic description of bodies in passage through a plastic medium of nonlinear density at random velocities and angles, which could be just about summed up with this equation.
With this equation, his fellow scientists and designers are able to explain the effects of atmospheric penetration on differing bodies, those with different ballistic coefficients, at various velocities and angles. For example, if two bodies of different weights enter the Earth's atmosphere with the same velocity and entry angle, both the heavy body and the light one will begin to heat up at the same time. But impacts of air molecules slow the light body sooner. This deceleration of the light body occurs at higher altitudes, while the heavier, more energetic body penetrates deeper before it reaches peak deceleration. The total amount of heat generated by the lighter one is less than that generated by the heavy one, whose larger mass gives it greater kinetic energy. Two identical bodies with the same velocity entering the atmosphere at different angles also will decelerate at different rates. The steeper angle causes a more rapid encounter with the dense air, resulting in more abrupt deceleration. The total heat generated will be the same for both bodies, but peak heating will be less for the shallow entry. With identical meteors entering at the same angle but with different velocities, the faster meteor, under heavier bombardment by air molecules, will have greater deceleration, generating more heat and at a higher rate. But Dr. Parameter is no longer merely an observer interested in understanding the phenomena of meteors. A meteor is just an aimless traveler in space. Doc finds himself now involved in designs with a purpose and an aim. A missile has a target, and a spacecraft has a destination, a journey's end. To these, Doc applies his knowledge. He knows natural phenomena, both of aimless meteor and aimed missile. He knows that as they traverse the atmosphere, they heat up. If the heating or deceleration of a vehicle is excessive, the mission is threatened. Man cannot change the laws of nature, so he must use his knowledge to work within those laws. Doc Parameter knows that the two natural enemies to successful atmosphere...
Let's get ready for space news. All right, so do you use a flight stick for KSP? I use the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. Fantastic piece of kit for what it is. I mean, these things last, dude. They're you really have to be rough with it if you want it to break. It's an Extreme 3D, yeah, 3D Pro Extreme, dude. It's Extreme. It's right in the name. Yeah, no problem. Starship's peak heating does not mean the ship is cooling down. It just means there's less heat adding to the system. Heat is still increasing. Yeah. Same with the shuttle for what it's worth. Your joystick got some drift that I could not stop. Took it apart and cleaned it, and it's still there. Tossed it. Hey, stuff wears out. The 3D Pros are pretty dang good, man. You can beat the snot out of those things. They last years. I don't know how long I've had that one. Let me see. What's the trademark on it? It doesn't say. Yeah, it doesn't say. You got it for BF3? Model number? J-UK17. You still run your Warthog HOTUS, considering the upgraded stick, though. I have a Warthog over there. Yeah, I use the small stick for Kerbal, but if we want to go, like, if we want to, like, for instance, mess with Flight Simulator. This is pretty good for that application. You have the Hornet grip, though. Cool. All right, guys. So you guys wanted to go through Project Athena. Can you guys link that up for me? I saw it posted on the internet a little while back. I don't remember where the link is. In the meantime, I'm going to start up the YouTube video. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. Space and Rocket Review. You two girls, tell your friends. Space and Rocket Review. You in the hat. Tell your friends. Yeah, no, all right, fine. Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. It is December 9th, 2025. And we're going to go through Project Athena today. Perhaps we should start with the Terra Nova videos since it'll take less time than the Project Athena thing. I think we might want to just devote this whole thing to Project Athena. It's a lot. There's a lot. Oh, here it comes. No, it's going to be a rot. Rare's the Heart stream was pretty good. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, Hearts is pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I'm not sure really where we're gonna go with that. The Filipino playthrough, like. I guess we'll just keep teching up, I guess. Hopefully to a win. Yeah. Oh, I ate too much. Brimo made beef ramen, and I ate probably more than I should. Oh, dear. All right. So, the reason why I wanted to devote something entirely to Project Athena, which is Jared Isaacman's it's Jared Isaacman's kind of tentative, emphasis on tentative plans for NASA if he gets nominated. Now, he did get approved from the Commerce, Justice, and Science Committee in an 18-10 vote, and here's the breakdown. So 18-10. So there you go. Here, I'll get over here. Some nay were not surprising. Wait, you're telling me that Ed Markey doesn't like Jared Isaacman because someone told him to? You're telling me he didn't like him? Huh. Oh well. Hey, Fetterman voted yes. That's kind of cool. Looks like party lines. Yeah, except for a couple. The ranking member voted yay. Yeah, the only guy that flipped from the last vote is this guy, Andy Kim, which I don't know what could have possibly changed in New Jersey between then and now when it comes to the applications of spaceflight, but you know. Money. Oh, boy. Okay, so with everything kind of points towards him getting nominated for NASA administrator, which is voted in for NASA administrator, which is pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. I have to say, showing who voted how feels significantly more Rule 8 than you would normally go. Yes, because I want to talk about that even though it's the news. Look, I'm just going to lay down the law right here. You know good and well what this means going through Project Athena. You know good and well. If we're going to be like that already, I'm just going to shut it up for the night so I can get some sleep and get up for the car stream early in the morning. I'm going to say it once. I'm only going to say it once. We're talking about getting confirmed in the Senate here. How, like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? How would you have done it? Yeah, Trey, that's why I wanted to go through it. Bling is like, I was just chilling. Like, how, like, what do you want me to do? Like, say the news, and you're gonna get, a little too late, dude. This is kind of important. Anyway, let's go. So, whoop. So with Jared Isaacman looking like he's going to get confirmed as NASA administrator, I think rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Oh man, YouTube chat's calling you out. Maybe he's like, maybe Trey's saying maybe we should just shut off Twitch chat if they can't handle it. Yes, fight for my pleasure. It will please me. All right. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna see what happened here. So keep in mind, this is Project Athena's strategic plan, and it's tentative. This is tentative. So these plans are subject to change per Jared Isaacman himself, but this is kind of his plan. It got leaked, so here. Let's see what's in store here. The following is a draft plan of Administrator nominee Jared Isaacman, which aims to transform NASA into a mission-driven agency focused on achieving the near impossible through a comprehensive reorganization and cultural overhaul. Mr. Isaacman's strategy emphasizes three core objectives: leading American human exploration by accelerating lunar missions and advancing Mars exploration through nuclear propulsion, igniting the space economy by fostering commercial partnerships and maximizing ISS utilization, and then becoming a force multiplier for science. I mean, Finn, I just showed you guys the vote. I didn't say anything in particular. But whatever. To execute this vision, Mr. Isaacman outlines his immediate directives, including workforce recognition reforms, organizational streamlining, programmatic reviews, financial and infrastructure audits, and investments in future technologies. Mr. Isaacman also proposes consolidating NASA centers for efficiency, modernizing infrastructure, and establishing a Starfleet Academy study to develop a regulatory framework for the commercial space industry. This draft plan, which is subject to refinement based on post-confirmation diligence and workforce input, remains in development and shall not be implemented without consent and approval of the President. All right, let's see what we got here. NASA will return to focusing on achieving the near impossible, doing what no other agency, organization, or company is capable of accomplishing. This will require a reorganization and a reinvigorated culture, all aimed at delivering on following challenging objectives. Lead the world in human space exploration. We will accelerate current lunar ambitions and determine the scientific, economic, and national security value of sustained presence, while in parallel working alongside industry to determine a more affordable, repeatable architecture that applies to the moon, Mars, and deep space. This includes demonstrating operational nuclear electric propulsion capability. Ignite the space economy. To fund the future we all envision in space, NASA must help unlock the broader orbital economy, one that extends beyond launch, observation, and communication to support commercial activity and generate new sources of value. Become a force multiplier for science. We will leverage talent, launch capacity, and standardized commercial bus architectures, working alongside industry and academia to accelerate the pace of scientific discovery. Okay, immediate action and directives. Here we go. Within the first week, we will begin hiring temporary and full-time experts, strike teams to support the plan. That's an interesting way to say that. I hope it's not true, Bert. Set the stage and expectations with agency leaderships alongside space media. Communicate the plan agency-wide through an all-hands address alongside Q&A to align the workforce. And launch a multi-pronged data gathering initiative to inform a single integrated reorganization plan, replacing the fragmented RIF and efficiency strategies currently in circulation. This is Project Athena. This is Jared Isaacman's plan for NASA. Tentative plan for NASA, might I add. All right. Elon already debunked it. Did he, spoiled? Good. Issue a series of administrative directives to set the tone of the workforce and put the plan in action summarized below. Reform the performance system to properly evaluate the workforce, identifying those that should be recognized and those that need improvement or potentially separation from the agency. Oh. Oh. Whoa. Reinvigorate the recognition system to include flight and payload specialist opportunities. I like that. I like that. That's a good idea. Consolidate NASA social media accounts and partner with space media to communicate and document the agency transformation. Huh. That first one. I don't hate that. Remember how I said, guys, like, if people often ask me, like, oh, what would you do if you were administrator? Probably that. Probably that. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd do that. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. I'd go Mr. Deeds. I'd be like, oh, you're fired. You're fired. Oh, you, sir. You are definitely fired. Madam, you're fired. There's the door. You know, like, that's not far off. What would you say you do here? Yeah. Directive 2. Organizational productivity enhancement. Honestly, NEP demo would only take slapping one of these kilopower units on an existing bus around ion thrusters. I mean... You canceled Viper? Okay, cool. I'm canceling your contract with this agency. Bye. Sorry, it's too expensive. We don't want to overrun the budget. I'll see you later. Sorry. I know, that sucks, right? That's so terrible. Get the fuck out of here, you know? I know. That sucks. That's so bad. Overrunning the budget. Yeah, well, guess what? We have a salary cap now. It's like football. Sorry, we're going to have to let you go. Request consolidation proposals from executive leadership. Entourage with a paintball gun. If I shoot you, you're fired. Yeah. Flatten the organizational structure and eliminate the deputy assistant roles and reinstate voluntary retirement. Woof. Okay. End large recurring meetings and other productivity drags unless approved. Suspend boards and committees that delay decision making and pivot towards individual ownership and accountability. I like that. Directive 3, programmatic review. Launch deep dive reviews of the top 10 programs to assess schedule, critical paths, and acceleration levers. Oh. Initiate a broader phase review of all programs. Deploy an engineering strike team to accelerate, fix, and delete high priority programs. Oh. Now, I can't really speak to this here, but this thing, guys, I will speak to this. This is not opinion so much as just factual information. Do with this information how you will. So a lot of this seems to be calling for a lot of reorganization at NASA to align with NASA's new goals. Now, if you just read into that, if you don't read into that anymore, it just sounds like a lot of people are going to get fired from NASA. And that probably is going to be the case. But here's the thing. Interesting thing to think about at NASA. And this is the ugly truth that people won't tell you. NASA is, right now, the mean age at NASA is like 58 or something. The mean age, meaning the middle, the average, 58. It's somewhere way up there. It's up in the 50s, and that's not okay. During the Apollo program, the mean age was like 23. What does that mean in plain English? That means that kids don't want to work for NASA. You got no young talent in there. You just got a lot of people that are just waiting for retirement. They don't really do anything. And now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Would that be messed up getting rid of those people, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, I would probably want to put them to work before I'd be like, okay, work. You don't want to leave? Work. Simple. But the interesting thing there is that because NASA, from a programmatic standpoint, has basically sucked since the end of the space shuttle program, that's why the mean age is so high, because there's no, who wants to work for NASA? Everybody wants to go work for SpaceX or Blue or Firefly or pick your favorite commercial company, Stoke, Rocket Lab, Relativity, pick one, right? Like, what is NASA doing? They're building a rocket out of parts from from a rocket that was built in the 1970s. And it launches once a year. That is not going to attract new staff, nor like bright young minds. Like, I mean, it will to an extent. If the program was bigger, perhaps, right? Then maybe. But the reality is that there's a vast majority of people at NASA that just don't do anything. They just sit there and do nothing all day. And I don't want to say that that's a bad thing, you know, but yeah, that's the truth. That's what people ain't going to tell you. NASA's full of older people that are, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not trying to be a jerk, right? Like, oh, the old people, get rid of them. That's stupid. You get rid of your institutional knowledge if you do that. That's not a good idea. We saw the fruits of that labor when they canceled Constellation. It's just that there's a lot of stuff that could be consolidated that isn't, because frankly, NASA really hasn't had a good, clearly defined goal in a long time. It's just something to take into account. Now, you know, once again, just presenting you with information. You do with that information what you will. The other issue with NASA is you can't get into it unless you know someone. The old hands won't hire, ask you how you know. Oh. Woof. It was supposed to say nuclear propulsion. Do you think Stowe come out? What do you mean, Ramlot? Interesting, Vanta. All right. Directive 4, Finance and Infrastructure Review, around day 6. Stand up a finance strike team to perform bottoms-up independent analysis to inform the broader reorganization effort. Conduct a thorough infrastructure review to assess demand and determine opportunities for investment, decommissioning, or potentially further modernization. I like that last part. Fire everyone in the NASA Department of Cringe. Potentially further monetization. Oh, yeah. Sorry, the photocopy. Implement... No, I read it wrong. Implement commercially friendly procurement reforms. Directive 5. Invest in the future. Launch the Mars program, Project Olympus, including an expanded nuclear electric propulsion program. Begin information technology and communication modernization, AI integration, and workforce software alignment. Develop the mission control of the future initiative to consolidate and upgrade operations, including modernization of communication systems. AI isn't all that bad now. Guys, all right, just quick side note. I know that AI isn't all bad. With that being said, AI is a tool. Like me. It's a tool. It's a tool in your tool belt. I guess I'm just getting a little jaded by it because in my mind, because it is a tool, it is a utility device, right? Like a hammer or a screwdriver. Hearing everybody say stuff like, oh, I can use AI to do this would be like, oh, I can use a hammer to install panes of glass. What? Oh, I can use a hammer to... I can use a hammer to make bread. It's like... I'm sorry? I can use a hammer to weld things. It's like... What? It kind of is just like, okay. Doesn't matter how sharp your tools are if you don't know how to use them. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's just like, okay, that's not the right use for that guy. You know, like, that's not the right use for it. What are you doing? Stop it. Electron, 111 months. Sorry. Soapbox over. Try hard enough, you could technically weld with a hammer. Yeah, of course. That's the point. That's the point that I'm trying to make, Sea Kraken. Yes, if you try hard enough and you implement a bunch of other things, you could weld something with a hammer. Or you could just use a welder. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Thank you. My analogy hit correctly. A lot of people at the Cape are not NASA employees per se. They're a contracted company that holds the bid. It's like 3 companies that make up the operations there. Yeah, I know. Directive 6. Ignite the space economy and accelerate scientific breakthroughs. Appoint a chief commercial officer and consolidate the front door for external engagement. Don't mind that. Make NASA approachable. I like that. That's a good idea. Prioritize and accelerate research throughput on the ISS to include external industry engagement. Rideshare missions to the ISS would not be a bad idea, but they basically already do that with Cygnus and Dragon and Uncrewed Dragon. I want NASA ad revenue. Wouldn't that be nice? Kick off bulk buy and science as a service programs to bring down the cost of routine science and energize academic institutions to fund their own flagship missions. Reevaluate decadal prioritization processes and expand access to existing data. Basically, yeah, this is... I don't necessarily mind any of that. That's not bad. The ISS does have a max throughput, though. You know, like, there's only so much you can do with so many people, for instance. And, you know, I know the answer to that is like, okay, just put more people up there. Yeah, okay, sure. Where are they going to sleep? There's only 4 beds. There's 7 beds total on the ISS for long-term habitation. We had more. There was a HAB module that they originally wanted to attach to the ISS so they could increase the crew capacity. Got cut from the program, not in the budget. Oops. Directive 7, Aeronautics Restructuring. Consolidate aeronautics-related activities under a single mission directorate and at a primary operating facility. Okay. Oh. Ooh. Well, that looks like... Man, you got no subtlety today. That's basically what I was getting at, dude. It's not an answer to all your problems. I didn't forget, dude. That was the whole point of the exercise, man. Yeah, Dan, you can use a hammer to install an accelerometer backwards on a Russian proton rocket. Yeah, hammer's the tool for the job, right? Review all programs for relevancy and focus resources on cutting-edge technology. What programs? all the aeronautic research except for the X-59 were canned. Like, what programs are you referring to here, pal? That's really interesting. What other aero programs do they have? I don't think they have them. They canned the electronic plane. That didn't work. What programs do we not know of? Yeah, right. Directive 8, Starfleet Academy. What's up, drummer? How you doing? Begin outlining a regulatory framework for the maturing space industry. Develop a training and certification roadmap for spaceflight crew, operators, vehicle, and spacecraft. Isn't that what JSC does? I mean, Starfleet Academy is... If that's what we're going to call astronaut training, I'm okay with this. You guys okay with that? I'm okay with that. You can call it that. That's fine. There's not many other names I would want to call it other than astronaut training. But Starfleet Academy is a good name. We should call... Yeah, that's a good idea. We should call it that. Yep. Reorganization plan. We will consolidate all ongoing RIF and... Guys, sorry, I'm having a day. RIF, I usually am good with the acronyms. I don't know what that means. Request information, foxhole? Reduction in force. Oh. Layoffs, okay. Consolidate all ongoing layoffs and reorganization initiatives into a single comprehensive plan formed by existing efforts. Research requests and field teams as indicated in the directives. The goal is completion within 180 days. That's probably why I didn't know that acronym, because it's not a spaceflight acronym. It's just a business acronym. And business acronyms, I think, are stupid. That's one of the things that I wholeheartedly agree with Elon about. Like, not that my opinion counts for anything. I hate acronyms. I hate it when people in the business world talk like the military. It is huge pet peeve of mine. Huge pet peeve. I just stop. Just stop. Just tell me what you're saying. Damn it. But but it's so much faster. Yeah, because you don't. Yeah. Oh yeah. This meeting will take, this useless meeting will take 20 minutes instead of 15 minutes because you talked everything out instead of using acronyms. Wholeheartedly missing the fact that the meeting's probably useless to begin with. Okay? Like, you're not being efficient. Oh. Okay. Reorganization plan. All right, we did that. Key inputs: finance strike team reports, associate administrator, center director proposals, associate administrator research deliverables, anonymous workforce suggestions, president's budget, and office of management and budget, deletion guidance. Oh, thanks, Deadbringer. But remember that this doc was not meant to be leaked and read by a live streamer. I don't know how many times I need to say that this is the tentative thing, guys. This is tentatively, meaning it's subject to change. I just thought it'd be kind of a good idea to get really, kind of our finger on the pulse of where Rook is at least right now. I mean, I think we got it for the most part, but it is good. It probably is good to get all this, out there or at least for me to look at, you know what I mean? Is this tentative? Kelly, you're asking as a joke. Somebody will ask in the next 5 minutes. Oh, you mean that in regards to the acronym thing, Pat? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Fair point. Outputs: new organizational chart aligned to core objective, list of deletions, before or after data to justify change, ongoing KPI framework to track effectiveness. Cool. There's something that covers acronyms, meaning cognitive behavioral therapy. You guys all right over there? What are you talking about? All right. All right. Culture transformation. We will build a mission-first culture that owns outcomes, acts urgently. We will build a mission-first culture that owns outcomes, acts urgently, and is focused on achieving the extraordinary. Surely it couldn't mean anything but computer-based training. Duty incompetence. Working at NASA is a privilege. To serve in the world's most accomplished space agency, you need to be dedicated to excellence in your professional responsibilities. I like that. I like that a lot. Mission-driven intensity and urgency. Maintaining a bias towards action and achieving objectives in support of the mission is the highest priority of every NASA employee. I mean, that's kind of the way it is now, to be 100% honest with you. But also at the same time, it's hard to achieve objectives when you have none. Oh, yeah, yes. All those acronyms are important. What about the STFUs? Have you forgotten about the STFUs? Ownership and accountability. We own our responsibilities and the outcomes. Every project, problem, part, and requirement have a clear owner. I like that a lot. I haven't really. My stapler people need not apply. STFUs are down this month. We'll have to circle back later. Please stop. Please stop this. If you do not stop, you're going to get more. You're going to get this. Hang on. I'll do it. I'll freaking do it. I'll do it, man. I'll do it. You monster! I'll freaking do it. I'll freaking do it again. Microsoft! I've already been banned once from here. Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line. The next available operator will be with you shortly. You know what's really fun? Answering the phone like that for real. You have reached the law offices of the Eric Johnson Space Administration. To speak to an administrator, please press 1. That's really fun. I answer the phone like that sometimes for fun. My STFU is away from his desk right now. Oh, yeah. We demand Twitch chat stop this. Oh, you guys are pissed off at YouTube. All right. Recalibrated risk framework. We will ensure safety is at the forefront of our decisions, but achieving the mission of NASA means accepting that some risks are worth taking. Guys, I like everything here. Everything here is how NASA needs to be. Like, complete serious note. Dude, something that has been drilled into my head from playing Kerbal, right? Playing a lot of Kerbal with really, really realistic rules, etc., right? And also industry experts kind of beating this into the industry experts that I talk to, like mentors, people that work in the industry that teach me about this stuff. It has to be right. There's no, oh, yeah, I'm just going to ratchet strap this COPV down. Oh, I dropped it. Is that okay? Is it still good? It looks fine. There's none of that. No horsing around, no nothing. It has to be right. If it's not right, it's not going to work. Like, that's a really important thing to understand. And it's been drilled into my head from engineers that watch the stream that teach me whenever I have a question, like, no, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. It can't. The one exception to this is like iterative design, in which case it's not, it's got to be right. It has to achieve a tentative objective. That's the real difference. But even iterative design to an extent needs to be right. Like, you can't screw around with this stuff. And I don't want to, I'm not clicking on that, Aqualex. I don't know what that is. I ain't clicking on that. Is it just me, or is this not just restating AIAA guidelines? That really seems to be very much what it is. Basically, Jared kind of said what the Secretary of Defense said, but much better and realistic. I really should have read that before I read it out loud, because, you know, we don't have to mention him here. Surely that won't cause a ruckus at all, Fluffy. It's related to the hold music. Oh my word. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. What is it? What?
Okay.
Oh my god. Oh my, oh my. Oh. I need to make my house do that. I need to make my house do that. I gotta figure out how to do that and how to make my house do that. Grandma, we need better Christmas lights. Well, Severy, well, I program lighting for a living, just saying. We'll be in touch. All right. That's the same hold music that Newegg uses? Nice. Your whole 5 neighbors would love that. They probably would find it really funny, actually. All right. So, yeah, this whole ownership part, I absolutely love it. NASA needs to be like this. You can't get complacent. Every time that NASA's gotten complacent, save for maybe Apollo 1, I wouldn't call Apollo 1 complacency, more rushing than anything, but like the opposite of complacency. Like, you got to find your stride, and it comes from accountability. That's good stuff. If half of that stuff got implemented, that'd be great. That's actually nothing. There's ones with flamethrowers. I don't need a flamethrower. We're going to be here a while, being only on page 8 out of 62. We can move around. Lead the world in human spaceflight, ignite the space economy before it become a force multiplier. We've kind of gone over these. You know, that's a good point. We can go a little bit further. Okay, so facility focus areas. Let's go to, these are all the different NASA facilities here. All centers, investigate the relevance and ongoing necessity of the center. If a requirement, streamline and modernize to make centers more efficient. Gather workforce data and trends to measure productivity and determine test asset demand, utilization, and monetization strategy. Evolve towards financial sustainability, properly monetize revenue centers. I would be curious what monetization means. What does that mean? Like, what, is NASA going to make a profit? It's in KSC. Selling the technology? I mean, yeah, maybe. All right, aims. Determine the future, if any, of in-house high-performance computing. NASA Armstrong, which is out at Edward. So Ames is in Silicon Valley. Let's see. Armstrong is in Palmdale. It's at Edwards Air Force Base, so it's not technically Palmdale, but centralization of aviation assets and programs. Agreed. Evolve to become the aviation center of excellence. Yeah, but what are you going to do with that aviation center of excellence? That's Oculus, that's what I mean. I'd be very curious to feel like what does that mean? Like, if the wrong thing. If the monetization means, you know, using it to leverage scientific understanding and make sure NASA gets the best bang for your buck, i.e. no idle facilities, if that's what that means, I'm cool with it. It's a good idea. Yeah, that's why I'm very curious. That's why I pointed it out. I don't know exactly what that means. What does that mean? Yeah, Fluffy. That's what I mean. That's very interesting to. So NASA Glenn is at the Cleveland airport. It's right next to Ford's Cleveland engine plant, which is pretty cool. I always mention that because I think that's cool that there's a car engine manufacturing facility next to an airport, next to a NASA facility, next to a highway, I think, and next to a train track. I think that's really cool because it's like, despite it being in Ohio, it's a convergence of a lot of things that I appreciate. Anyway, determine sustainability of chamber simulation and propulsion chambers and propulsion centers of excellence. So NASA Glenn is really used for vacuum research. It's NASA Glenn and Ohio is home to one of the biggest vacuum testing chambers in the world. Actually, I think it is the biggest in the world. The mistake by the lake. Monetization is tied to revenue in my dictionary. What services will be supplied and who will pay? Yeah, Frowlin, that's a very... Yeah, see, that's what I'm wondering. Like, monetization means money. Money. It was used to test James Webb. It was used to test James Webb, Dragon, Starliner, Dream Chaser. It's a great spacecraft testing facility. Yeah, really, really good for that. Every spacecraft that's flown to the ISS, save for Soyuz and the space shuttle. It's the biggest vacuum chamber in Ohio because Ohio sucks. Yes. Mm-hmm. And Ames has some of the biggest wind tunnels in the world. Yeah. So Ames is in Silicon Valley, which is in California. So Ohio sucks and California blows. I'm just being scientific. Whoa, 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 whoa. I like California for what it's worth. I always rib the states that I like. Spoiler alert, I like every state except for Ohio. I'm contractually obligated to not like you, but we're cool. Are we cool? All right. I don't mind Ohio. Cedar Point's pretty neat. Wright-Patterson's pretty cool. Just saying. Who squeezes and who bangs, though? Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. I would say that Marshall probably squeezes because they do a lot of dynamic testing at Marshall. And who bangs? Can we change the subject? All right, so NASA Goddard, that's in Maryland. Evaluate dispersion of mission control centers versus JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Johnson Space Center, Marshall Space Flight Center with the aim to consolidate at Johnson Space Center. Many field sites under the Goddard banner. Opportunities for deletion, consolidation, or at minimum standardization for efficiency. Ooh. NASA headquarters. Flatten and streamline organization for faster decision making. Okay. Johnson Space Center, Human Space Flight Center of Excellence for NASA and eventually all commercial spaceflight missions. Huh. Okay. Evaluate ISS workforce distribution and consolidate into a multi-mission control center of the future and maximize the talent. Evolve to support commercial industry in the certification and operation of spaceflight activity. Okay. Goddard Institute of Space Sciences. Yeah. Please, please, please. I need your reaction to the vendor area focus page before I fall asleep. What page is it on, Flavia? JPL contract structure very expensive. Must increase the output and time to science. How much money allocated to JPL goes straight into prime builders? What is built at JPL? JPL actually is kind of going to hell in a handbasket. It's not because they're defunding it, but because people got caught stealing money. That's not great. Page 12. Okay. Oh.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, All Systems 98-month resub. Crazy, I know. All right. Axiom is working on EVA and lunar suits. Blue Origin, New Glenn and Blue Land are essential for early Artemis objectives. Interesting. Blue Ring, bulk buy of launches for science acceleration. Credibility of New Glenn plus Orion. Credibility of...
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Hello, this tip message is very important to us. Please remain on the line and the rest of the message will be with you shortly.
I'll be here. Credibility of New Glenn plus Orion or in-house for possible Artemis 4 plus as competitor to Starship. Project Kuiper, so Amazon Leo. Planning for SAT deconfliction and communication. Science as a service. Best plan for the economic market potential of the space station. That's, that's a really good idea. What about SLS? See, James, I don't mind taking Orion off of SLS. You could refactor some Artemis missions to work better with Blue Origin sustainable lunar development and Starship, right? If you give Orion low Earth orbit access, and Orion can only launch on SLS right now, and using a super heavy launch vehicle to put a 25-ton capsule into low Earth orbit is cringe. So looking for a low Earth orbit alternative for Orion is really useful for refactoring Artemis mission architectures. Now, I know what people are saying. What about SLS? What about SLS? No. You think like this is going to get rid of SLS? Absolutely not. Use SLS as your cargo launcher. Use it to make nuclear's transfer stages and have Blue Origin refuel them. Use them to launch use SLS to launch base components with a fairing or something. Super useful, dude. Oh, I like that. Build the dang EUS and put a 10-meter fairing up on top of it. Then we're talking. That would be sick, dude. Boeing. Starliner as a backup ISS and future low Earth orbit crew transportation vehicle. Gross. SAT bus providers. Bulk buy satellite buses for academic partnerships and science accelerate. Huh. Okay. That's an idea. Commercial low Earth orbit. Blue, Sierra, Boeing, Voyager, NanoRacks, Northrop. Axiom, Vast. What's the best plan for the economic market potential of the space station? What will drive the orbital economy? Computing, maybe? Constellation operators. Satellites as a service. Bulk buy science buses for scientific acceleration. Cool. Lockheed. Orion Future. Other paths for Orion to lunar operations that aren't on SLS. Nuclear Desires. That's the name of my next romance novel. I don't write books. Draco's downfall and desire for a nuclear electric program. Rocket Lab, bulk buy of launches and common satellite buses, components for science acceleration. Sierra Space, Dream Chaser in a post-ISS future. Yeah, didn't see that one coming. Why not a band name? SpaceX. Starship HLS, credible path to the moon. Mars Discovery Base contract. Mars Discovery Base contract. Olympus, plans for ISRU, ongoing Dragon support, and 7-seat and rate 7-seat modification. What's Olympus? Olympus, I believe, is the tentative plan for the Mars program. U.S. deorbit vehicle for the ISS and contract requirement simplifications. Bulk buy of launches for scientific acceleration. Yes. Yes. Starlink. Science as a service or a common bus for dedicated science. Usability for alleviating the deep space network. Varda and Astroforge. Space economy, okay. Astroforge is the company that Jack works for, by the way, fellas. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure how you'd use Starlink as a deep space network, but perhaps I'm missing something. Hang on, let me just go up here because there was SLS and Gateway. Fly Artemis 2 and 3 to determine the reasons to be on the moon. Terminate as appropriate after sunk costs are expended to pivot to routine and affordable commercial transportation. Rocket Lab makes satellites in-house, Jeff. Yeah, they can do that. Pivot gateway hardware to commercial low Earth orbit or nuclear program. Okay. Crash public commercial program to develop fast demo at medium power. Three-pronged approach to support vision, technology development, high power thrusters, materials development, infrastructure and test support, non-nuclear testbed space, specific nuclear test, regulation and legislation overhaul, steamrolling, extensive communication and political campaign for nuclear future, multi-megawatt tugs for humans and scientific exploration. I forget what MWE is, guys. Sorry, I'm having a day. Dual use approach could support Department of Defense and Golden Dome applications. Pivot SLS and gateway hardware and centers to the nuclear future. Megawatt electric. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, thank you. A nuclear rocket hook up to the gateway to go to Mars. Fellas, can I ask, Jared Isaacman wants to do nuclear electric power. He doesn't seem to be for nuclear thermal. Nuclear thermal is basically when you have a nuclear reactor inside of a rocket engine and you flow hydrogen over the reactor to cool it, and that hydrogen heats up so much that it creates thrust. I would like to add that nuclear thermal has been tested. It does work. They tested it during the Apollo program. They had 3 working prototypes, with the third one being a flight-ready instrument, and the Apollo program was going to retool the S4B into a nuclear-powered third stage. You're getting double the efficiency with nuclear engines, but a very much increased dry mass with a nuclear thermal engine. But they do work. It works. We've tested it. It works. Now, he doesn't seem to like that, which I don't really understand. And he seems to be a huge champion for nuclear electric. Now, nuclear electric is having a nuclear reactor that's generating electricity in space, basically coupled up to an electric propulsion system. An electric propulsion system basically is a rocket engine with two nodes inside of it, and it arcs electricity between the two nodes. So, like, you get a little bit of lightning in between the two nodes, and they flow noble gases over them. And what happens is that ionization of that inert gas creates thrust. Now, nuclear electric propulsion is scalable. It's absolutely scalable. We have electric propulsion in space already with a lot of satellites. Satellites use solar electric propulsion, or SEP for short. Now, the thing is that with a nuclear reactor, they could make more thrust, but the solar electric propulsion that we do have right now, if you sneeze, you make more thrust than those things. Those things have the amount of, they have the thrust of maybe like a computer cooling fan, maybe, at best. That's pushing it. Now, the reason why they don't make a lot of thrust, though, is because, the reason why they don't make a lot of thrust is because they're hooked up to a solar panel. You know, solar panels don't generate a lot of power. A nuclear reactor would certainly generate more power. But even a nuclear reactor hooked up to a big electric propulsion thruster isn't going to make a TIE fighter. You know what I mean? Technically, you would make a twin ion engine vehicle. You could do that. But I don't really understand the big push for nuclear electric. Nuclear electric propulsion will never get you anywhere near 1.0 TWR. 1.0 thrust to weight. Which you don't necessarily need for, like, on-orbit propulsion, like going from planet to planet. But, you know, nuclear electric propulsion is not something that you're going to use to get places, like with people on board, for a little while. Not necessarily electric dust. He may be talking about this, which is already good to go. What is this? Oh, yeah, you've linked this before. I read this. This thing, the Vasmir. Yeah, Vasmir. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I guess Oculus with the more, it's not so much about, like, what, it's not so much about, like, what nuclear electric propulsion could be, so much as, like, why are we not using nuclear thermal? It already works. It's tested. It works. We just need to build another one. You know? It's more trading a technology that exists right now that is a huge twofold increase in efficiency for our space program architecture, for our spaceflight architecture, over something that might be something useful in the future. I guess I'm just kind of traumatized by that. Let's go with this thing that might be useful in the future. Here, let's stop flying the Saturn V. Let's go with this thing called the Space Shuttle because it might be useful in the future. You see what I'm saying? RDEs, if you can explain to me how a nuclear rotating detonation engine works, I'm willing to have my mind changed, Rat. How does nuclear make a rotating detonation engine work? Yeah, there you go. That's a good point. I think it's because he sees all other launch providers being busy with their own refueling programs. Maybe. At really high megawatt nuclear electric provides better stats than nuclear thermal. You can get constant thrust in the kilonewton range, which over time is better than NTP. You could do direct transfers. Yeah, Trey, but my point is that could be a thing in the future. It's not a thing right now. Nuclear thermal is a thing right now that exists already. Yeah. No, I get it. I understand, I think. I don't know, Dead Scum. Yeah. I agree with NTR working, but if you think about it, Vasimir plus Kilopower already supposedly, if you believe, Ad Astra Rocket has hardware built and is waiting for in-space testing. Whereas we need to build new hardware for NTR. Yeah, we have an NTR program right now. That's what the Draco program is. Rapid contract for 2026 Mars mission? Yo. It was canceled in the big beautiful bill. Technology investments that will enable the future of American astronauts landing and returning from Mars. Okay. Implement science as a service model to take advantage of the constellations already going up. For Earth science, okay. Increase availability and accessibility of data. Agree with that. Yep. Take NASA out of the taxpayer-funded climate science business and leave it for academia to determine. Huh, surely that will not be a hot-button issue with anyone. Surely that's not going to ruffle some jimmies anywhere. Yeah, yeah, you're right. No, it's no big deal. Let's just move on. All right, we did the commercial stuff. Draco was canceled a while ago. Yeah, but it was, it's relatively new. Weather guy? You don't like that? Weather guy? You don't like that? Oh, come on. What do you mean? What do you mean? Page 10 for a couple more programs. All right, let's go. Yeah, we did that already. This isn't really his full blueprint for NASA. This is Isaacman working within the constraints of the current administration. Yeah? Okay. Calm it down, dudes. It's just a tentative plan. Relax. Workforce directives. We already got the gist of that. A ride-along program in NASA aircraft through a nominational and approval process. Yeah, reactivation of the payload specialist program. I like this. Open spaceflight crew positions for payload specialists to include employees from the NASA workforce with the aim of expanding access to space, rewarding outstanding contributions to agency objectives, and advancing science and exploration goals. Payload specialists will contribute their experience back to their community for the betterment of NASA. The NASA Astronaut Corps will, in addition to existing responsibilities, provide leadership training and mentoring for payload specialists. A step in the right direction of NASA astronauts supporting other commercial and private spaceflight missions. Love it. Love it. Absolutely. Great idea. Ride-along program in NASA aircraft. Mission launch observation opportunities. Hell yeah. Receiving flow and hardware awards. Oh, I like that too. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. That's all really good stuff. Has Isaacman been approved? He got approved by the Commerce, Justice, and Science Committee, Mark. There should be a vote in the Senate sometime in the next 2 weeks. Could be tomorrow. It could be 2 weeks. It's the Senate. I have no idea. I'll admit I don't really understand how it works because every For some reason, every time I go and try and figure out how the Senate does things nowadays, I just get annoyed. For some reason. Weird. It's a very strange phenomenon. I just get annoyed. Like, I know, it's so strange, right? Like, Flight Inspiration Program. Increase the use of NASA and affiliate aircraft for flyovers at launches, major sporting events, and national celebrations to inspire the next generation. I very much like that. That is a very, very good idea. Yes. Yes.
Discovery, go at
That's
throttle.
what you should use NASA for. Yes. Yes, do that. Yes. Abso-freaking-lutely you should do that. Get those damn T-38s out. Let's go. That's a really good idea. Hey, Ishiku, 64-month resub. Dude, can you imagine like a UCF football game? UCF football game, they got the NASA freaking uniforms on. You get a NASA flyover? Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Wait, NASA's not present at air shows like Oshkosh? Did you see them there last time? Sometimes they show up, I'll admit. Sometimes they do. Until one crashes into the crowd. What? When's the last time that happened? Yeah, spoiler alert, never. Dead Scum, you must not be familiar with how we do things. We play a lot of different sports over here. A lot of them are not like the rest of the world. I understand that. We also play your version of football too. Doesn't matter. We play American football. There's baseball. There's, hockey. There's basketball. There's all NASCAR. There's all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Some people, it's not a sport. I don't give a frick. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Dude, flyovers happen every weekend. Every weekend that there's sports going on. There's a flyover every weekend by F-16s or F-15s. Sometimes it's a B-2. Yeah, dude, we do flyovers like every weekend, man. Like, this is not like, oh, one's going to crash into the crash. Like, that's not a thing, dude. This happens we do that all the time. I don't know, I don't know if flyovers are like popular in the rest of the world, dude, but that happens all the time. You want to see one of my personal favorites? Want to see one of my personal favorites?
The Apache helicopters now.
This one is one of my personal favorites.
As it goes around,
We got to mute the sound. Yeah, see that one, I'm quite fond of this one. This is Atlanta. Yep, yeah, that, see? Yeah. You see, I like that. That's pretty cool, man. Yes. That's freaking sweet. No, that'll distract the driver. Can you imagine? You imagine that you know how loud that motor is, and then you hear it's like, what the frick? Something's louder than the car. I want you to hit the pace car. Wait, no, don't do that. The driver's doing the Oh, that's sick. Yeah, dude, that happens all the time. You don't need to worry about that. Having that, dude, can you imagine if that was like NASA helicopters or something? Or like NASA T-38s did a flyover before the Daytona 500 or something? Like with the Artemis 2 crew piloting the plane. That would be sick, dude. That would be sick. We should do that. That's a good idea. I don't hate it. I really, really like that. That's pretty awesome. The rotor wash keeps the cars on the track. Oh, yes. Yeah. Wasn't Indy this year Blackhawks? They were using Blackhawks to do it, if I'm remembering right. Like, dude, this happens all the time. Yeah! The 160th Night Stalkers. That's right, dude! It was the Spec Ops guys! That's awesome! That's That's sick. That's so cool. Look at how low those things are. That's awesome. Oh, man. You know what's funny? The cars can almost go as fast as the helicopter. Seriously. Indy cars go fast, man. What is it, 240 in qualifying? 240 miles an hour? That's pretty quick. That's faster than an F1 car. That's badass. And you know what really makes me happy about this, just on a quick side note? Seeing Indy packed. That is a huge freaking racetrack, dude. And every seat, there's not an empty seat in the damn house, dude. Now do an Osprey. Now, we don't need to have an Osprey flyover. Yep, we don't need to do that. With that all being said. But how cool would it be if those were NASA planes? Like NASA T-38s did a flyover over a football game or something. That'd be awesome. Or like the Super Guppy. The Super Guppy with T-38s flying over. That's bitchin', man. We should do that. There used to be an air show near you, and the planes would literally fly over your house. Red Arrows, Vulcan, Lanks, Spitfires, Hurricanes. Love those sounds, man. Rolls-Royce Merlin, one of the best internal combustion engines ever devised by man. And I'm an American. I don't give credit where credit is due unless it's deserved. To another country's engineering. The Merlin engine. Very nice. Very nice. Love that sound. Love that sound. I'll bet you 5 subs the first NASA flyover has Rook flying in it. Yeah, wait a minute, Ish. You're right. He's only doing that so he can do the damn flyover. He's only doing that. Wait a minute. He's only doing that so he can do the flyover. This freaking guy, Rook, we're on to you. We're on to you and your games, my friend. Update the NASA website to promote flyovers and field inbound requests for inspirational missions. Flyovers before launches is an awesome idea. That's so good, dude. I know it won't happen, but imagine if they brought back the 747 with the space shuttle for a flyover. There is not many cases where I would approve of getting a space shuttle out of the museum for any reason. That's one of them. That would be one of them. I would do that. Yeah, sure. Take Enterprise. Put Enterprise on the back. Fly that around. Screw it. Fly that sucker around. That'd be sick. That would be one of them. You know? Fly the damn thing around. Living museum exhibit. Let's go. I've been trying to get someone to do a rocket launch during a Daytona race. I want an F-22 chasing the SLS down. Yes, that's a good idea. I want, when SLS flies, I want 2 F-22s that are flying like right next to it, following it, just giving us a track, close range track. I would be okay with that. Yep, I would do that, provided the pilots understood what was going on. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. We should do that. Can you imagine the picture that would give you? Great imaging, just saying. When does he slap a NASA sticker on his MiG-29? Never. That hunk of junk doesn't deserve a NASA sticker. There, I said it. What about a 15EX? Sure. Why not both? They've already done that? Yeah, they've done it with a Falcon 9, though. That's not... Yeah, no. I'm talking about flying in formation with that thing on the way up, like having them a quarter mile off the flank, off the port and starboard of SLS as it goes. How sick would that actually be, dude? I mean, that'd be a little dangerous, but also that would be really cool. Just saying. Speaking of that, new Jared Isaacman tweet. The turbulence from that would be fine. Just don't fly behind it. Wow. What's going on here? Is this what this dude does in his spare time? Oh my goodness. Flying the biggest American flag. Skydiving with the biggest American flag for a world record. Okay. Okay. Dude, it's like he's playing GTA Online in real life, man. It's crazy. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to go skydiving today. Yeah, I'm just going to fly my MiG, fly my personal fighter jet around. Let me go to my personal hangar. My personal hangar has the Star Wars cantina in it. Whatever, no big deal. Seriously. At his private hangar in Montana, it has an attachment, and there's an attachment. The attachment is the cantina from episode 4 of Star Wars. I'm not kidding. We've seen pictures. It's the freaking cantina from episode 4. Like, what they actually, like, do they allow droids? No. Optimus is not allowed. You're droids. We don't want them here. Did they even use their chutes on that jump? That's a good question, man. He hired Disney Imagineers to build it. When you have screw you money, you can do that stuff. If I had $1 million, you know what I would do? I would have Watto's junkyard. Yep. Watto's junkyard. Oh, wait, I already have that. That's called my backyard. How has this man not been the NASA administrator before? I don't know, dude. Credits? No, Republic credits are no good on this stream. I need something more real. I'm an Edgerian. Mind tricks don't work on me. Only Twitch bits. Watch the clip under the tweet. Okay. What do we got? Come on, sound. Yeah, can't play the music. On October 5th, 2025, over Benghazi, skydivers set a world record for the largest flag. Okay. 63 days later, America took the record back with 3,200 square feet of freedom. Oh. I like that. Yeah. Oh, that guy fell. I like that. Oh! On December 7th. God, I love this country. Place rules. That's awesome. They are following flag code. Yeah. Yeah, stars into the wind, dude. Stars go into the wind, man. That's how it rolls. We appropriated flag code from England, by the way. Sorry. It's just whatever. We culturally appropriated it from you. That's awesome. I love that. That guy. Let it go. Oh, that's sick, dude. Look at that. All right. All right. All right. We improved the flag code. Yep. 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 That's pretty cool, man. That's just what that dude's just what he does in his spare time. Like, all right. That thing was seriously slowing them down too. Yeah, you're right. That's what Aqualex asked, man. He's like, wait, did they need chutes? Like, did you see how slow they were going because of all the drag from the chute? All right. Media Restructuring Program. Within 30 days, the Acting Associate Administrator for Communications will consolidate all NASA social media channels with the aim of delivering quality content over quantity that prioritize NASA's most inspiring and transformational undertakings. You can kind of do both of those things, but that's fine. Develop a plan to expeditiously refresh and simplify the NASA website in line with agency objectives down to the mission directorate level. Love that. Love that. Yeah, you go to NASA, you go to NASA.gov, and you're like, all right, what the heck is this supposed to do? Note how he casually used Merlin engines in the building of that cantina replica. Yeah, I know. It's weird. Consolidate communication departments and contractors across all centers into a single efficient structure reporting to the Associate Administrator for Communications. Cool. Hey, yo, Isaacman. Mr. Isaacman, if you're out there, if you ever see this, dude. Yo, you need help with that? I got you. Give me a call. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. Sorry, chats. Not kidding. Delete NASA Plus, please. 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 Give me a call. I'm dead serious. Please call me. I will help you. I'll do whatever you need. Create NASA Plus Plus. All right. Okay, engineering strike teams. Okay, day one, what do I do? Nothing. If I'm in communications for NASA for nothing, like on day one, I'm doing nothing. That's the thing. I don't want to do anything. I'll follow those plans to a T. But Astrocanuncle, to be 100% honest, if I okay, like I was kind of halfway kidding, halfway. You know, like if I was actually in charge of NASA communications, I would. Okay, here's what I would do. I would do nothing. I need to see how the current system works. I know that the website is a maze, but there's a reason why NASA's website is the way that it is. If we're really going to optimize communications, and we're going to do it without a loss of bandwidth of information that gets conveyed on the website, right? If we're going to do that, you need to understand how the current system works. No ifs, ands, or buts. You don't go in there just wrecking face. I would understand how the current system works and make the optimizations based off of that. You know? I would probably spend about a month trying to figure that out, just running the website as is. And then we would move for optimization. I would really ask for a lot of end user feedback, you know? I mean, I got a lot of end user feedback basically from you guys. Like, go figure. I'd rather make NASA Plus actually work with a download option for all media. What I would really do, Aqualex, yeah, that's a good point. I would really take NASA's image archive, images.nasa.gov, and I would really integrate that a lot more and make that search engine a lot easier to work with so you can get B-roll footage. B-roll footage is super easy and super quick to find. So like if content creators want to use it, I just need Artemis 1 launch footage. Boom, there you go. Like you can do that on the images.nasa.gov website right now, but how many of you guys really know what that website was until I just said it? You know, that would be like wholly integrated with NASA. Like all the B-roll footage, like there would be a whole section, B-roll, and it would go right to the image archive. You know, That's a beautiful political answer. What do you change first? What do I change first? Okay, when is NASA going back to the moon? I would put a header right up at the top of nasa.gov with the countdown timer for the date for Artemis. Yeah, there you go. How about that? You want a non-political answer? That's what I'd do. Gotta go, hockey game in a couple minutes. Yep. Countdown to the moon. When are we taking the moon back? When's the next mission? When is it happening? Countdown timer right at the top of the website. People want to go. When's the next moon launch? NASA.gov. Just click NASA.gov. Boom, right there. 5 days, 30 hours, 20 minutes till the launch. And then if you click on it, it gives you a timeline of events. And the timer would be going through where we're at in the timeline for the reviews. You can see every single review as it happens. As the critical design reviews happen, as the operations and checkout happen, you could see a full list of NASA milestones if you click on that timeline and where they're at in those milestones. All interactive. Click on every PDR, CDR, everything. Links to the live stream when the stream goes live, all the way down to the day of launch, and then the mission guidelines after that. Have you guys heard of Apollo in real time? That, but with an actual mission that's happening. Yeah, exactly. Aqualix. Yeah, it's terrible. It would be Apollo in real time, but with an actual freaking mission. That is what I would do. No bull crap. This is NASA's flagship mission. We're going back to the moon. This is when we're doing it. Click on it. You get a sequence of events. That's how we're doing it. And then it'll explain every single one of them. And every single one of them on top of that, preliminary design reviews. You click on an acronym, it'll lead to a video with somebody explaining it. Me or whomever. Explaining what a preliminary design review does, what it is, why it exists, why it's there. And then basically have this, right there, like a glossary of terms. Easy to get to, easy to understand. No bullcrap. Guys, spaceflight communications is so ridiculously not complicated. It's so ridiculously important. All right, with an exact list and basically a glossary of terms and showing the timelines happen in real time and basically being as transparent as you can with the timelines. Obviously, ITAR, etc., right? You can absolutely provide a accountability through the entire program. You want to know what creates skeptics in the spaceflight skeptics? The lack of transparency does that. Nobody knows what NASA's doing because there's not a clear way to understand it. Now, anybody that has even a hint of healthy skepticism is going to see that and be like, what the hell? What are you guys doing? You guys are full of crap. You guys are full of crap. It needs to, the accountability that Rook is talking about, especially on the communications front, needs to be there. You click on nasa.gov, boom. This is when we're going back to the moon. This is how we're going to do it. This is what the mission's going to do. This is where we're at. This is the countdown timer. Done. Straightforward enough. And then live streams of all the mission loops. Yes, absolutely. NASA needs that. You want to shut up all the haters. You want to shut up all the people that, could potentially, not shut them up. You want to attract people that could potentially be interested in space flight, but go to nasa.gov and just get confused and say, frick this. These people are full of crap. Never again. No, you really want to convert those people into people that like space flight to understand what it's about and why we need to do it. That's where you start. You wanted a non-political answer. There's your non-political answer. That would need to be done immediately. Immediately. Share this on Flame Trench one day. Okay? I'm talking, and that's the other thing. Press conferences, the preliminary design review, critical design review, I want a press conference. I don't want a stupid press release with some bozo standing in front of a TV monitor with a render of the thing that they made. That's bullcrap. No. You know who I'd get? I'd get Phil Sloss. I'd be like, Phil Sloss, you're doing all the updates. Sorry, pal. Sorry, NSF, you're doing all the updates. and then who do you think I'd get to do all the damn videos? It's all the guys from NSF. Bring back the KSC webcams. Leah. Those were good times. There was one point in time, guys, where there was live stream cameras from inside the VAB. NASA did that during the end of the shuttle program. Towards the end, they had live stream cameras inside of the VAB all the time. You just go and click and see a live shot inside of it, see them stacking the shuttle. That was a thing. Nationalize NSF. Yeah. So there's your non-political answer. That would be the first thing that I do. Put the countdown timer up on the website. It'd be there in big bold letters. Helvetica bold letters. For what it's worth, now that we went to I don't mind this. That's cool. Can NSF be a contractor for NASA? Well, sure. Actually, this isn't really that bad for what I want, but I would want a countdown timer right up here. You know what, man? If it was up to me and I was doing communications for NASA, I'd want the Artemis 2 crew on Good Morning America. I'd want them on late night talk shows. Really get their public image out there. Everyone, Colbert, Kimmel, Fallon. Does Seth Meyers even do late night anymore? I don't give a frick. Doesn't matter. Everywhere. MTV. Have them go do an interview with MTV. Does MTV do videos? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You figure out the correct things and go from there. They would be ticker tape parade. Yeah, there you go. Ed Sullivan. Get Bob Hope. No. Dude, MTV is gone. Yeah, I said it and I was like, yeah. I find that it's expensive to digitize everything, excuse flimsy at best. Oh yeah, Aqualex, we would be going full ham. If I was running NASA's communications, there would be no bullcrap. There would be no bullcrap. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was running it, guys, I wouldn't stream. I'm sorry, we wouldn't be streaming. I would be in the office every day being like, no. No. Nope. Bullcrap has to be like that. To be fair to NASA, I think they just need to do a better job marketing their missions page. Doesn't really need to be fixed and is very well built. Yeah, Aaron, I was just looking at the website. The website's actually pretty good. You know, you got all the latest things that NASA's doing here. You know, and then updates about that. You know, this stuff I don't necessarily mind, but if I was interested in the Artemis program, look how far you had to scroll down, and it's just send your name around the moon. That's it. That's it. Okay, I want to be very clear here. This is what NASA's page looks like as of December 9th, 2025. This mission is pretty much targeting February or March. It is no later than April. NASA is sending people beyond low Earth orbit for the first time since 1972 in 4 months. That's nothing in spaceflight time. That's nothing. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Get NASA to work with Starlink to put Starlink antennas on all of their launches so they can have as good a quality onboard footage as SpaceX does. Now, I'm not sure I'd be able to swing that, Dan, but yeah. You know, I have my reservations about guys like Sean Duffy, right? With his rope NASA into the Department of Transportation nonsense. I think that was a critical misstep. But you know what, dudes? I will give credit where credit is due. He has the right idea, going on talk shows, going on late night news, and saying what NASA needs to be doing. Going back to the moon. We're going back to the moon next year. We're doing this. No bullcrap. The rocket's in the VAB right now. Send the astronauts out. Have them say that. Have them go on Fox, CNN. I don't give a frick. Have them go on Newsmax. I don't care. I really don't. It doesn't, like, yo, you want to interview an astronaut? Let's interview an astronaut. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. They got to do training here and there. So, right? Like, but dude, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be done. Who the hell knows we're going to the moon in 4 months? You know, every time I have a conversation off the stream with somebody that doesn't understand space, they say, what is NASA doing? Even now, they say, what is NASA doing? We're going back to the moon in 4 months. 4 months? That's not that long. That's 16 weeks away. Nothing. That's nothing. That's very, very soon. Put him on Joe Rogan. I don't give a frick. Have all 4 of them on there. He'd probably do a great job interviewing them. Sure, podcast, whatever. Have Jared Isaacman do podcasts. I mean, he's pretty good at doing that already, but that's the kind of stuff I'd be doing. Yeah, and I would not give a frick who they are, what news organization they go with. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Is there elk meat on the moon? No, but there could be if we go there more. Boom, there's your answer. That's what I'd be doing. That's what needs to be done. Like I said, fellas, you can say whatever you want about Sean Duffy. I do not have much nice things to say about him, but he's on the news all the time. All the freaking time. He's on CNN, he's on MSNBC all the time talking about NASA. He's on Fox doing it. He doesn't give a frick. The guy will go on anywhere and start talking about NASA or the Department of Transportation or whatever. Now, you don't have to like what he has to say. I'm not saying that you have to like the guy. I don't like him. I think roping NASA into the DOT was one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard proposed for NASA. Ever. Period. Full stop. But also, he's got the right idea, dude. He'd be a heck of a communications guy. I'm just saying. Get him on NSF, sure. NSF, Spaceflight Now, Lab Padre, whatever. Whoever's an accredited organization for covering launches. If they want to interview these people, no problem. Elon's on there all the time talking about rockets, Astro. That crowd clearly likes it, dude. Yeah, there's your answer. I remember when they got high-def cameras for the space shuttle. It was wild, dude. Those last, dude, STS-130, STS-130 to STS-135, when they brought the high-def cameras in. Oh, my word. Oh, those launches were so beautiful. You finally got to see the shuttle in all of its glory instead of like on some CRT 480p screen, you know? A limited tour of the Cape by an Artemis 2 astronaut or team member like Elon and Tim's interviews. Sure. Oh, guys like Tim Dodd, Scott Manley. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, you guys would be doing Destin, Smarter Every Day. Oh, yeah. Everybody would be in there. That's what I would do. NSF with Das, like everywhere. There you go. Come on. Come in here. Talk to these people. Hell yeah. Get the astronauts on 60 Minutes. Screw it. Do people watch 60 Minutes? Don't know. Do it. Should hire Jamie to run NASA TV. Jamie would do an awesome job doing that. I'd be like, yeah, I know that new job that you like is really good, but you should, you should, Come on over here. And it's not like this is new. This is what they did during Apollo. That's right. Got to get him on Manning Cast. Screw it. Hell yeah. Get him on Manning Cast. Let's go. Yeah, have Victor Glover watch a football game with Peyton and Eli on Monday night. Screw it. Screw that. Let's just go. You know, don't even have to talk about space. Just do it. Yeah, we'll watch space with an astronaut. You know. Oh, Astro Knucklehead. That would be an awesome job. I would love to do that. I would do it, man. And I would not stop till there's a tag around my toe to get the word out. It's kind of what I like doing. It's kind of what I like doing in my spare time, you know? Put a NASA commercial in the Super Bowl. Bingo, Jim. Yeah. Have it, dude. Can you imagine a NASA trailer during the Super Bowl that's like interstellar themed, but it's actually spaceships going to the freaking moon? And instead of like coming this summer, you just have the launch date ticking down and then NASA.gov in big letters. Just saying. Astronauts on Hot Ones. There you go, dude. Dude, there's a gold mine. There is a gold mine of media outreach, and people will jump at you to help you do it. You know what else I'd do? I'd get the Apollo astronauts. We'd have a sit-down roundtable meeting with the remaining Apollo astronauts. So like Jack Schmitt, Charlie Duke, with the Artemis 2 crew. Sit down, talk about your spaceflight experiments, talk about what to expect. Go back and forth, talk about space, talk about play, talk about anything. I don't care. How many Apollo astronauts are even left? Charlie Duke's still above ground. He's alive and kicking. So is Jack Schmitt. Jack Schmitt works for Blue Origin. Dude, this is all low. Everything that I've mentioned, guys, is low-hanging fruit. This is all stuff that I could get done in a couple of months. Or at least try to get done. Like, no, there is no try. Do or do not. You don't know Jack Schmitt. Yeah, that's right. Harrison Schmitt is his name. Everybody called him Jack. That's picked up his nickname. Yeah, Buzz Aldrin. Have Buzz Aldrin sit down and talk. Why doesn't NASA do this? Just do that. Yeah, he's a consultant with Blue, Joe, if I'm remembering correctly. So Buzz Aldrin's still around. Dave Scott, Rusty Swikert's still around. Fred Hayes is still around. Charlie Duke and Harrison Schmitt. Let's go. That's enough. Have a freaking round table like what they do at Space Fest. Yeah, man. You know, the Artemis 2 mission is going to be, you know, God willing, everything goes right. You know, you have the astronauts come back, have them throw out the first pitch at opening day in the Yankees game. And I'm saying that as a Red Sox fan. Have them do that at a Yankees game. You know how many people would be watching that? Go. Or a Red Sox game. If you could do a Red Sox game, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd like that better, but... Better get swaggered. Underrated joke, Adversity. You mean the Dodgers? Sure. Yeah, exactly. The Dodgers are basically Yankees 2.0 anyway, so. He meant the Blue Jays. No, I didn't. Jeremy Hansen could do that, though. That would, see? Look at what we thought of in 15 minutes of brainstorming. Now, the flip side of this is that we don't want to go too crazy. If the astronauts are freaking everywhere, then people will also get bored. You can oversaturate. That's important. Now, I don't think there's a bit of NASA content that is oversaturated or even close to it. There's a lot of margin there. You know, I will say something about Canada when it comes to space. You guys put the Canadarm and an astronaut on your $5 bill. Why the frick don't we have the LEM on a $20 bill or something? That's ridiculous. That's bullcrap. You guys got the right idea. I'll say that. I'll say it. I'll give credit where credit is due. That's a good idea. We should do that. Hey, Davinsky, what's going on? Sorry, bud. I have a crisp one to send you. I think I have one, dude. I think I have one. I had one around somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's Monopoly money to me, dude. Sorry. Don't take that the wrong way. But where's the space shuttle? Where's the Saturn V on the $100 bill? All right, at least the backside. What the hell, man? If you scratch it, it smells like maple syrup. Oh, yeah, bud. Anyway, that was a good question and something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. So, yeah, good stuff. Let's keep going. I'll stop if I see anything. Okay, Mars program, Project Olympus. Immediately prepare a dedicated program working alongside industry and international partners to launch an uncrewed mission to Mars during the 2026 launch window, as aligned with presidential direction. Objective, land the first infrastructure on Mars to accelerate technologies needed for future crewed missions. This effort should stimulate innovation, investment, and collaboration across the technologies required to enable lunar and Mars exploration and eventual sample return missions. Okay. Nah, Ramallah, we don't need to do that. An uncrewed mission in 2026 isn't out of the realm of possibility. It's just unlikely. The best we could do is an Ohio State quarter. Ugh. Focus nuclear propulsion. Consolidate NASA's nuclear programs into a single department with a primary focus on nuclear electric. Build ground testing capability, rapidly develop technology, and fly operational vehicles in the next few years. Objective, ensure the United States is underway under nuclear power in space in the immediate future. Okay. Yeah, Bandit. There you go. Light Brew. 3-month resub. Thanks, man. IT modernization. Next generation mission control. We already saw about that. Heading the space economy. Aero consolidation. Okay, here we go. Asset relocation. Aviation assets will primarily be based at Armstrong Flight Research Center, leveraging its unique capabilities and infrastructure. Detachments such as the T-38 fleet at Johnson Space Center are permitted, provided they do not necessitate redundant departments or leadership structures. Programs such as those sponsored by the Science Mission Director will no longer operate aviation assets, but instead serve as a customer to the flight services provided by aeronautics. I don't mind that. That if SMD had done this method of procurement, Sophia would still be flying. Hey, Dead Scum 40-month resub. Thanks, dude. How about landing a starship in Fenway instead of a parachuter? Landing a starship anywhere with people with that close would not end correctly. That wouldn't end how you think. Rarest, I'm with you on that one. Starfleet Academy. The commercial space industry remains in its early stages, operating largely under a limited regulatory framework known as the learning period. As NASA envisions a thriving future in space with multiple space stations, lunar and Martian outposts, and a growing cadence of crewed and uncrewed missions, it is essential to prepare now to properly enable the people, organizations, and vehicles that will support safe, sustained, and peaceful exploration. To that end, Chief Program Manager Officer will commission a team within 30 days to assess the creation of an institution capable of certifying launch and spaceflight hardware for operation, training operators and flight crew members, and certifying the competence of such personnel. Study results to be published within 90 days. Holy crap, dude. This melon farmer wants to make Starfleet a thing. Between this and payload specialists, man, NASA's going to need a lot more planes. You're going to need a lot more planes, and you're going to need a lot more spacesuits. Good. Yeah, Weiss. Yeah, you ain't wrong. Weiss, that's a good call. Good. Yeah, you'll get no argument from me. I'm just reading this real quick. Immediately re-implement voluntary retirement, maintain the hiring freeze, suspend all second-in-command or co-leadership roles and titles. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, dude. There's too much middle management at NASA. Or actually, it's too much upper management at NASA. Let me put it that way. Day 1, all hands speech. This better be live streamed, dude, if this happens. He said this in this. He basically said this at the Senate meeting. Reorganization is necessary to meet these objectives. Dude, this is pretty damn comprehensive, even for like 8 months ago. This is pretty good. There's a lot here. Focus areas, Artemis 2 then 3. Catch up on architecture and safety concerns, heat shield engines. Reconcile heat shield, review internal audit and work done to date. Consider, should we host dissenting opinions, i.e. Charlie Camarda? Charlie Camarda mentioned, that's cool. Okay, context. Charlie Camarda is a ex-NASA astronaut and thermal protection system engineer. He's the guy that's basically been saying since NASA's report about postponing Artemis 2 in 2024, saying that heat shield is going to get somebody killed. And I'm inclined to agree with him based off of what I know about testing, but who knows? Should we make the internal report and results public? Yes. Bring an outside reporter, i.e. Eric Berger or Tim Dodd, to tell the final story on the Artemis 2 heat shield. That's the kind of communication stuff I'd be saying, yeah. It's funny that Tim and Eric, awesome show, are mentioned. That's pretty cool. I say safety. Review and publish all life-limiting concerns into a digestible format. Russian PRK concerns, Boeing concerns. That's Roscosmos. versus cost and hassle. That's ISS safety. HLS, start with blue, then SpaceX. Would contracting requirements updates increase probability of success? Interesting. Bring it, EJ, but there would be frame rail issues. My car, as of right now, Astro Knucklehead, has perfect frame rails, front and rear, if you really want to know. The frame rails are not rusty in any way, shape, or form, front or back. The rocker panels, like all up in there, that's another story. But the frame rails are actually majestic, and they're actually plug welded, so they are stronger than the factory frame rails. Just saying. So why don't you do me a favor and shut the fuck up? Are you on time and on schedule, cost plus? Actually, I'm cost minus, dude. That's because my ex-accountant is an idiot, but I had plans to get this thing. I had plans that this thing would have been done. But, you know, you can't buy new parts if you don't have any money. Now, I could put them on credit, but that's probably not a good idea. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I would only do that if the rewards for it were good enough and I already had the money to do it. You really don't want to live off a credit card, guys. That's a bad idea. Yes, that is financial advice. Credit card interest rates will screw you if you don't pay them off right away. Now, with that being said, a lot of you know that, nor are you coming here for financial advice, so let's keep going. Surveyor, Dragonfly. Yeah, okay. Rules of engagement. Listen first. Solutions, bias towards action. Cool. You have no stinking credit card. Yep. Yeah, dude. Like, here's the thing, man. If the president backs him up, I mean, it's very clear that don't get me wrong, you're never going to get a unanimous consent in Congress, but this is one of, like, the rare circumstances where, you know, we will come together for space if the Commerce, Justice, and Science Committee is any indication on how this is going to go, we could have potential majority for Congress and the president. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about voting along party lines or anything like that. This could potentially be a scenario where we could get, like, this. It's possible. This could happen. Like, you could do this. Like I said, if the Commerce, Justice, and Science Committee is kind of indicative of how this is going to go down, if Isaacman's plans are good and he has the president backing him up, that whole Starfleet thing, that could be a thing, dude. That is entirely possible. Now, that might scare some people. That might make some people happy. I don't know. But it is possible. Like, definitely could be a thing. Yeah, spoiled for sure, but yeah. But these aren't bad goals, dudes. I hadn't really looked through this thing fully. But, yeah, Arian Rod. Yeah, you ain't kidding. We are not alone in the pursuit of space exploration. Strategic competitors are rapidly advancing in human spaceflight, science, technology, space economy. The peaceful exploration of space is a race, and failure could shift the balance of power. Yep. If America does not lead, we will follow, and if we follow, we may never catch up. Is it bad if I don't agree with that? Soviet Union launched the first person into space. First EVA. Just saying. That's, that's the first thing into orbit. That's, kind of a big deal. Like, it says we may never catch up, but like that, I mean, we were playing from behind in the space race, basically from like 1958 to actually 1957 to, I would say like 1966 is probably when we equaled and then surpassed. Like, we were definitely behind the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union was throwing a lot of money at their space program. New here. I was wondering if a stream of live astrophotography solar imaging would work here on Twitch. Yes, Astro Ed. Sure. People have done it in the past. My buddy Econ Greg does an astronomy stream, but Greg is taking a break right now. I haven't seen him in a little while. Yeah, he did an astronomy stream for a long time. Live streams from telescopes. People loved it. Oh, yeah. That's absolutely a thing. And second part of that question, Ed, if you do it, let me know. Let me know. I think people would really like solar imaging right now, especially with all the CMEs that have been happening. People would really like that. Did you see the CME that went off the other day? Holy crap. The CME that popped out of the sun the other day, guys, made Jupiter look like a golf ball. Like, the size of that coronal mass ejection was just, like, if Jupiter was on it, you wouldn't even be able to see it. There's two of them. Pretty crazy stuff. Yep. Like, and forgive me if this is ignorant. I just got here. Okay. Why are people so worried about this new space race with America not being first or whatever? America and Russia have been the leaders of human spaceflight for a good while, and in my opinion, no one else is close to matching either of us. China. That's who they're talking about. And then our sun is tiny compared to other stars. Yeah, right. China. China. You have to say it like that. You have to make you have to do this with your hand, like almost like that, but like China. Yeah, Remlot, it's possible, yeah. Are you BF6ing tonight? Oh, you don't like that? Oh, come on. That CME was no joke. Yeah, absolutely. Boeing even had to patch retrofit their planes for the solar flares. A plane did get hit by a solar flare, but it got hit by it, but it didn't really. It made the plane do that for a second, and the pilots figured it out. They knew what was going on, and yeah. But yeah, pretty crazy, man. Yeah, Ed, an astronomy stream would do you right. Yeah, sure. People like that stuff around here. Was it an Airbus? I don't remember. I go through a lot of information every day, dude. One of NASA's long-term goals should be intercepting a black hole. Yeah, really long-term goal. It was the 320? Yeah, there you go. Cool. Cool. Yeah, no wonder something went wrong. No, King, I haven't. Yeah, Remla, that's pretty cool. At least the door didn't fall off. Sorry, I knew I would rustle some jimmies with that. I get it. You're right. I just thought I'd say that because that was fun. It's funny. It's funny to me. The door fell off. Is that tickable? No. It's been removed from the environment, Hank. Don't worry about it. All right, let's get through the rest of this and let's see what we got. So, nuclear electric propulsion, NEP program overview. Space nuclear is tough, complex, and costly, but our rivals are moving fast and the capabilities it unlocks are clear and compelling. We need a government-led, commercially driven program to regain the ability to develop space-based nuclear power. This is how we open up groundbreaking capabilities near Earth, on the Moon, Mars, and across the solar system. Program must start with presidential backing and a strong central leadership team empowered to cut through bureaucracy and held accountable for rapid execution. First step is a minimum viable demonstration. Fly early, fly often, and achieve a credible first flight within 4 years. King, is it bad if I'm really growing to not like OpenAI? Like, really not like OpenAI? Is that like a lukewarm opinion, or? Yeah, I didn't like that bit of information either. There were some whispers that OpenAI wanted to acquire Stoke, and that's just... Is it bad if that made me just not like Sam Altman even more? EJ's PC is now worth like 100K. Yeah, would you guys mind if I sold the RAM and so I could buy parts for the car? Because I could pretty much finance the Coronet project by selling the RAM out of the Canard computer at this point in time. I'm not going to do that, dudes. That was a gift. I'm not doing that. I'm not selling a gift. That's screwed up. Yeah, King. I don't know, man. Like, I'll admit, I don't know too much about him, to be honest with you. I'm not big into the AI thing. Not because, like, it's like I said, I don't mind AI. I know that AI is a tool. I get it. It just, I don't want to call it a bubble either, but I'm just sick of hearing about AI a lot. Is that bad? Is it bad? Like, everything's got to have AI in it. My hammer has to have AI in it so you can hammer correctly, so we can teach robots how to hammer things. That's the profitability. Like, bro, shut the... Battlefield EJ almost came out there for a second. Shut the front door, dude. Come on. It's a freaking hammer. Go away. If not bubble, then why bubble shape? I'm not saying that, Oculus, because I don't know enough about it. Like, to be 100% serious, I'm trying as best I can to stay in my lane here. With that being said, I'm sick of hearing about it. Okay, I'm sick of hearing about it. My car does not need AI. All right, my microwave doesn't need AI. My microwave doesn't even need a damn computer. Okay, like, I'm sorry. Call it engineering brain. Turns out if you hang around with engineers for like 15 plus years every day for long periods of time, you get engineering brain. My brain is like, why the hell does a microwave need a computer? That doesn't need a computer. You don't need a smart microwave, all right? I don't need an app to control my microwave. That's solutionism. It's disgusting behavior, and I hate it. Just all the improvements in everything. I hate it. Dude, I can't stand it. I can't stand it so much, dude. Like, it's pissing me off so much. Battlefield EJ almost came out for a second. I was almost like, screw you, you know? Like, I've seen Terminator, man. I know how this ends. You know, like, your smart fridge will have AI and you'll like it, dude. I will rip all of that stuff out of that wolf, man. You know why? Because I know how a refrigerator works and I know what to get rid of. All right? Nobody can stop me from taking my stupid car, taking the computer out and putting a damn carburetor on it because I can do that. I have a welder and I have time. All right? We could do it. It would run like dog crap. Actually, you'd still need cam phasers, but you could make that work. You can make a mechanical system to make that work. It'd be tough, but we could do it. Just don't buy an M1000 microwave. Dude, I just want a microwave with a microwave in it. You don't even need a freaking computer in it, man. Just give me a 7-segment display microwave. Or dude, you know what? Or is it better yet? I want the one with the damn egg timer in the front. Like, you know, like yeah, exactly, Uncle X. There you go. You missed my T1000 reference. Microwaves do turn things into liquid. Endometric polyalloy, liquid metal. Yeah. I've seen this movie before. All right. It needs to say bing when it's done. Yeah, exactly. There you go. EJ, I just had to buy a new TV today, and why can't TV just... Dude. Yo.
Swift Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Tesla owners are like people who get their trucks lifted. They're compensating for something they lack.
Tesla owners? What? I have no problem with Tesla owners. Wait, why are we barking up Tesla's tree now? Yeah, data harvest, Oculus, data as a commodity is just disgusting behavior. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. I'm sorry. It's just disgusting. It's not tangible. It's disgusting behavior. You know, it's sorry. Screw me, I guess. To be fair, I think Cybertruck looks ugly. Edison Motors talking about a rejected investor wanting a subscription package, $300 a month to get error codes on your trucks.
They had this program software and they wanted us to sell our customers an optional subscription package for $250, $300 a month. And what it would do is when the engine in the truck had a fault code, they could automatically read it. For $300 a month, you would have access to the program to read the fault code on our truck, or it could send you an email. If you had cell service, it could send you an email to the office with the fault codes. But here is the thing. They were trying to get us to sell that for them under right to repair. They're like, you could put that under the guise of right to repair because you're giving people access to this information that they would normally only get if they went back to you, back to the dealer, and back to the warehouse. So instead of coming back to you, they can just pay $250, $300 a month, and they get it. Now, keep in mind that company was going to take like a 15, 20% cut of that, so they're going to make a shit ton of money too. But you know why? This is horseshit. It's not for right to repair. It's not served as sold as a convenience because the truck already knows what's wrong with it. This truck knows what's going on with its computer system. If it's throwing a check engine light, the truck knows why it's throwing a check engine light. It could say, it's that sensor. It's this sensor. This is what's going on. Here's what the issue is. The truck knows it. They're just making you pay more every single month or every time you got to go in there to know what's wrong with a truck that already fucking knows what's wrong. LCD screens are pretty cheap. It's easy to put in there. It's easy to have that information displayed.
Yep. Yeah, we like Edison. Edison's all right. That guy's cool. I like that guy. Yeah, that guy. What's his name? That's the guy from Edison Motors. Chase. Yeah, that guy's cool. Yeah, Edison rules, dude. Okay, just make a truck. Just make a truck.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Weird idea, right?
Even if AI could be a tool, I don't think it is. If you don't do the work, you don't do the work. More people, more better.
Yeah, I suppose. No, it's fine. Chase can swear on my stream. That's okay. He's earned it. Like if I had Elon on the stream and he was swearing up a storm, I'd just be like, all right, you can do that, bro. That's fine. If Jeff Bezos was on here doing that, I'd be like, yeah, you could swear up. You could tell me to go screw myself. I don't care. I'd be like, all right, I'll be right back. You know. All right, I'll see you later. You do the stream. You know. That's funny. Pricing people to death. Oh my goodness. Spicy Christmas tree break. Well, at least you won't get cold. Yeah, you'll never be cold when you have some canned heat in your face. Who wants to spend Christmas in a tropical climate anyway? You'll be warm for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's what I mean. See, you guys get it. Stellantis brand vehicles require a subscription like they're talking about, but thankfully it's only $50 per year. I will never, Bill, and I mean never, ever buy a vehicle with that stuff, with that kind of stuff applied to it. I'd rather go build one myself. EJ, I'm actually leaving on Christmas Day for a tropical cruise. Dan? Oh, yeah, that's not really what I was getting at with that, but yeah, that, yeah. God, I think clear. Did you? You know what? Never mind. How much more we got of this? Logical evolution of SLS resources. The healthy commercial industry assumes responsibility for heavy lift launch vehicles. Yeah, he wants to move to commercial. Okay. Why past nuclear efforts have failed? Space nuclear has a long history of accomplishing very little with large resources. What? Why? Fragile or non-existent mission pull, no prioritization or leadership. Misaligned objectives, overly ambitious goals and requirements mismatched to political timelines and funding. What nuclear program are you talking about? Fragmented leadership, projects buried in bureaucracy with no unified champion. Now that I believe, yeah, to an extent, the exception of the actual NERVA program. The NERVA program was the opposite of all of those things. Did NERVA pull a lot of resources? No. Why would it? Let me put it to you this way, Seacracken. It pulled no more resources than the J2 or the F1 program did, or the RL10. It's just propulsion. All right, cool. Well, we got through a lot of Project Athena. I did glaze over the speeches and the requirements, but I think we got the big bits of information. I think that I think that Rook will do a good job. I think he will. Really. Yeah, I think he'll do well. Hey, Commander Universe, how you doing? Yeah, I think he'll do well. We'll see how it all transpires. It is all contingent on a Senate vote. And keep in mind, guys, everything in that document was tentative. It was tentative. It's not this all is subject to change. And that was something in the Commerce, Justice, and Science Committee meeting that politicians didn't really understand, or they deliberately obfuscated the truth. Either way, you're okay? I'm doing just fine. More and more, I feel as if I'm in the Netflix blockbuster meeting. If it ain't rapidly reusable, it's crap, full stop. Knucklehead, I have a question. Would you mind if we used SLS, an expendable rocket, to build a fully reusable on-orbit spaceship? I.e., if we used SLS, an expendable vehicle, to build something like the Mars transfer vehicles from the Apollo program. Or the Constellation program, excuse me. Sorry, I'm getting tired. Would you be okay with that type of reusable vehicle? Just out of curiosity. Starship can do it. Quit going back to old tech. We'll see. SLS could do that right now if the vehicle... So, say we had this proverbial transfer vehicle made. SLS could do it right now. Starship might be able to do it in the future. SLS can't land. That... Okay, I think I got my answer. All right, guys. Well, I spent... I think we've gone through about 3 hours of this. That was pretty good. I think that's going to do it for the Project Athena Space News review. There is a little bit more space news, but we'll cover it in kind of a more regular space news tomorrow. I wanted to keep a whole thing for this, and I will keep you guys updated with what happens with Jared Isaacman, and we will see if... The reason why I did this is because I wanted to kind of lay down where Jared Isaacman is at if he becomes NASA administrator, and we'll see how much of this actually gets done. We'll see. More hearts. I was thinking I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier tonight, guys, so we can get up early for the car stream tomorrow. We got a lot of work to do on that thing. I got to see where that blue tape is. I got to cut out everything below that blue tape. Yes, I'm going to cut the quarter off so we can replace the wheel well because there's rust up in that wheel well. Yeah. I'm scared. I've never done this before. I've never taken an angle grinder to the exterior of a car. What? You're not going to try out the new BF6 map? Yeah. Quit stalling. We have to redo some of the bracing first and foremost, all systems. Yeah. I have to, but I can brace it off of the trunk pan now because there's a trunk pan to brace everything to. Isn't that a cool? That's pretty cool. Why not do it now? I really want a fresh mind when I go to do that, Flykin. I have to save the door jam. And dude, I want a good night's sleep to do that. I want, tomorrow's going to be a long stream. I'm going to get in here early, like way early. Tomorrow we do a big old long stream. So we'll do the car, we'll work on the car, then we'll go to Space News, and then after hours, see what happens. I'm not doing that right now. I need to have a clear head when I do it. It'll be just fine. You'll have YouTube chat cheering you on. I don't know. Some of that door jam stuff is going to get a little rowdy. I might have to rubber duck you guys with how to actually go and replace that wheelhouse. It is connected to a lot of things that the coupes aren't, because 4 doors, you know? Cutting is easy. Replacing is the hard part. Yeah, I'm scared. You know what? We should raid somebody tonight. I haven't raided anybody on Twitch in a long time. Let's go and do that. On the YouTube side of things, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed the space news. My buddy Etal is playing Mountain Blade. Let's go see what he's up to. Dude, I was scared about the trunk pan too. I was scared about cutting the car up, but you know, we did it. So let's go raid Italics over on my end, dudes. We haven't done a raid in a long time. Go and raid my boys, playing some Mountain Blade. I'll see you guys all tomorrow early. And wish me luck. We got Flight Sim on Thursday too, okay? So I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. Car stream, baby. Let's go. Have a good night, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.